Good day, everybody, and once again, welcome to our little game we like to call Diet D&D. I am your host, as always, Will, aka Artificial, and I will be your Dungeon Master Game Master this session. Welcome to Season 3, everybody. Joining us, as always, is our one and only famous player, Daniel, playing our half-elf rogue, Scaithe.
Salutations.
Alright, Season 3, I've got something special planned that's kind of been long in waiting, and it's kind of been somewhat semi-spoiled, but we'll see how Scaithe takes it all the same. So Scaithe, you've just been through a dungeon, you've had this really interesting ride on an airship,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been home for maybe about a week or so. During that time home, you've tied up loose ends and gone about and finally figured out what happened with that abomination that Willow Thicket had sent you to go, and deal with.
Yes.
You tracked it down with the local guards and finds out it's actually just kind of died of its own terms out in the forest. So, not as exciting as you'd hoped, but all's taken care of.
Yes.
The rest of the week goes by, all's pretty slow. Don't really have much to really claim it's been exciting this week. Until Lyle comes forth to you with a suggestion that, well, since Savrak's not back, that maybe we could send you out and do some exploring. You don't
A
turn
little.
that away, as well,
Yeah.
really. You don't have anything better going right now.
Little bit of map making, etc., etc. Never hurt anybody. Go out, see the world, find yourself.
There you go. So the one key point they wanted to make note of is this area kind of to the west of the Haunted Mountain, still north of Homestead, called the Withered Woods. They do have a little bit of a lead, saying that the only thing that is noteworthy appears there's a small little area, some sort of ruin or a hut, shack, castle, something that looks like used to be or maybe still is there. Other than that, that's all you really have going.
Mm-hmm.
So, gung ho as you are, you essentially just take to the Withered Woods with whatever you please.
All
I
right. I'm just got my basic equipment. I've got rations, knapsack.
I assume you're decked out as usual in your new chainmail cape and your little bag of wonders, your bag of wonders, and
Yes.
do we
Absolutely.
do we actually have any pets with us this time?
Not this time.
Nothing
Not
at
after the
all.
last dungeon. No.
All
Uh,
right.
the puppy is resting, recuperating with under the guidance of the um guild as they are looking into arcane underworldly research to get his leg back.
Understandable. All right, Scaith. So basically, you just begin walking, and before long, you find yourself in essentially this very darkened, dead forest. A lot of the trees seem to be old of age, scratched. None of them actually are bearing any leaves at all, like it's a perpetual winter time, or almost as if half of these trees are petrified themselves. Soil is nice and dark, kind of crumbles under your feet a little bit, like some sort of charred ash, but nothing appears to be like any burn marks, like this place has been through a fire of any kind. And though the trees are all devoid of leaves, this place still seems to gather some sort of canopy above your head, making this place quite dark.
Is the canopy like shadow or perpetual clouds?
There is a little bit of overcast going today, so it seems to be kind of adding to this kind of bleak landscape. But the trees are very tall, and it kind of shadows everything with all the crisscrossing branches.
Okay. All right. What is around me in this particular? Is it just trees? Everything?
As far as you can tell through the thicket of trees, you cannot discern any real sort of point or path or really sign of interest.
Alright then, I
So
guess
you,
I'll just start meandering.
but your orientation is correct. Homestead is to your south, and the little spot of interest, the shack, the little unknown little structure, should be to your north of some kind. Is all you were given.
Okay. Well then, guess I'll start heading north. And we'll see what I see.
All right, I'll give you visibility is not impossible, so
Right.
it's not hard to look around. I'll give you
Okay. Pretty nice open area. What's the foliage like? Is it all... I mean, like the ground and everything.
the ground seems to be kind of a mix. It seems to be solid soil, nothing like solid rock. There is some gravel-like mixture mixed in, but mostly crunches under your feet, kind of like petrified ground. The soil is kind of a grayish, muddy color. But there only appears to be trees, no actual bushes or shrubs, ferns, no other signs of real plant life of any kind, not even the slightest hint of fungus.
Hmm. That's suspicious considering this should be a low-light area. At least fungus or moss should be growing here. Uh, I just make note of that
Okay?
to report back to the guild. Um, let's see. I'm gonna keep heading north again.
Alright.
My goal is supposed to be that way.
Heading straight
Excuse
north.
me.
I'll give you another one of those.
Alright. I'm gonna have to move a little bit around because there's a tree in my way. I'm like right up close and personal to the trunk of this tree. Do I notice anything about it?
This particular tree seems to be one of two kinds. You really can't place it. It seems to be similar to like a birch or a maple, some strong wood tree. But these darker colors right here seem to be more or less kind of matching the charred ground itself. They don't appear to be, I say charred in the sense of texture and color, they don't themselves appear to have any fire damage. They seem to be perfectly healthy, but the bark flakes and peels off.
Okay.
In
So the tree's a
contrast,
little. So the tree's a little bit flaky.
yes, in contrast to these more pale trees who seem to be practically petrified.
Hmm. Interesting. Do I notice anything to the left or right?
Uh, if you'd like, you can kind of just glance to your left and right and see how far you'd like to see.
I would.
Uh, but if you'd like to roll perception, you certainly can.
Sure. 3. No.
No, you cannot. You do not see, hear, or see anything other than what you've been mapping right now.
All right. Um.
Of course, at any point you can do that again freely. And, you know, roll,
Once more.
roll and do as you please.
7. Yeah.
7. You weren't really fine tuning for anything, but 7 will actually get you enough to notice that it's quiet. There are no animals. There are no other sounds nearby. Just the slight creaking of the trees in the somewhat wind there might be today. But other than that, all is eerily quiet.
Well, that's to be expected without any vegetation. No vegetation, no animals. No animals, no noise. All right. I'm gonna keep moving forward then.
Alright. Right now, go ahead and roll me another perception check.
12.
Okay, that will actually work. Over, if you zoomed out enough, can you see my ping? Hang on. Okay, you can do this. Right here.
Yes.
Over in the northwest, that general area, you begin to hear a noise that kind of sounds like clicking.
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 Does it sound mechanical?
It sounds animalistic in nature.
Okay. Mmm.
And from where your current position, you can see the beginning of a stone wall that looks just decrepit and broken through the ages. Practically half of it turned to powder. Kind of just protruding from the ground. Maybe there was something here, but it's destroyed. As well as two figures kind of hunched behind this wall. Can't quite make them out.
Okay, I want to hide up close to the trunk of this tree
Okay?
and see if I can't fine tune to see what these things are.
Okay, from your vantage point, you should be able to see them. Would you like to roll for creature knowledge or roll for another perception?
Creature knowledge would probably be best.
Go for it. Standard d20.
8.
Alright, let's see here. How do you think you would have common knowledge of quote common, well,
Yes,
monsters?
I would. Yes.
Okay, I will give you an advantage for such like, as I believe you might have encountered these things before. They're somewhat facing away from you, but you do notice unmistakably these things are rooting around the ground, searching for something, but these are unmistakably uber hulks, these large insectoid creatures about the size of a man that seem to be rooting about.
That
But
explains the clicking.
but more importantly, you notice that these things seem to be tuned to their surroundings. They are just as pale and bland as their surroundings. But more importantly, their eyes are glowing purple.
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 Hmm. Do I find that that is common to these creatures, or is that abnormal?
You do know that uber hulks have the tendency to more or less hypnotize their prey, but color changing eyes is not normally in the description, but albeit a lot of things are in the description while being under the influence. But generally, they are not known to have a common color of any kind or a trademark of any sort.
Okay.
As you sit here and take this in, this one here will actually start burrowing underground and just kind of disappear under the rough soil.
So would it be likely that this crumbled wall is an entrance or a piece of nesting material?
You believe it's not out of the question,
Okay.
but from you gauge on your map, you're still a little ways away from your point of interest.
Okay then. I'm going to mark this on my map and also write a note that states that however this place may not have fauna, it does have pests. So insects are still here. Since I'm supposed to be mapping this place out. a bit.
Alright.
I'm going to go in the opposite direction over this way. Trying to make my way around them.
Alright, you don't even have to roll a stealth check. You just continually kind of casually walk on your way. It doesn't even seem to... Nothing seems to disturb this remaining creature. From your current positioning... A large section.
Okay. Make it about here. Anything out of the ordinary?
Roll perception for me real quick.
15.
Good. In a northeastern fashion, you hear more clicking.
So the deeper we go, the more of these I'm going to find, I think. I guess I want to cautiously approach this particular area, keeping close to trees.
Alright. I'm going to tell you now, you look like you, from your map, you're going to start getting off the path of what you expect, where your point of interest is, as in saying if you don't pretty much stick to what your plan was straight north, you may get off path and may have a hard time finding yourself right now.
Right. I will,
But from
course
this
correct
area,
as... Yeah.
you can see another large chunk of wall and 4 more of these insect creatures just rooting about.
Okay.
All of them with purple eyes just the same.
Well, let's see. They being insectoid in nature, that's probably some sort of activated hive mind, so... I'm going to... Now that I understand that these walls are of interest to these creatures, I'm going to course correct back onto my original path. Right over here.
Okay. Do a little bit more. That more. Forest as such.
Okay. So I am now in another large clearing.
Yes, more trees.
Perception check.
Go for it.
7.
As of right now, you don't hear anything. The clicking behind you has died down.
Okay. So press on. Drill right about here.
Okay. A little bit further, but even from this distance here, you can tell there's something just beyond these trees. You can see what you would only assume is another wall, what it looks like, another stonish structure. But this one seems different, seems a little bit larger.
Larger. Okay. I'm going to meander this way, just shy of this
I'm assuming you
creature.
do have a compass with you.
Yes, of course.
Okay. From your general positioning, you would believe that this upcoming structure is probably going to be your point of interest, or if not, like the exact outline of your point of interest here. The fort, shack, or whatever it is. And you settle up to about there? Okay, roll me a perception check.
7.
I will actually take it. At this point, you begin to hear actual voices. No more clicking. You hear quite a barrage of things that kind of floods you all at once that practically makes you stop in your tracks. Would you like to do so, I'm assuming?
Yes, I would.
Okay. The first thing you hear is what sounds like something ripping through flesh and bone. A very unmistakable but unpleasant sound,
Ugh.
followed by actual voices. What sounds like two, maybe three, in a whisper. Unfortunately, you cannot make out what they are saying. Followed by a very panicked and stressed voice. I've told you everything I know. They're, 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 they're probably on their way right now as we speak. I'm not sure. I don't know what you want. Please, just stop.
I want to try and get closer to this tree trunk.
And try and see a little bit more as well, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Or you can see I'll give you, you can see the edge of the wall. You're just like the last thicket of trees before the actual wall.
Okay.
You
So
hear,
I'm probably not able to see past the wall.
not yet. You believe if you kind of get like right up to the wall, you could probably see probably what outcrops this wall are clearing.
How high is the wall?
The
I mean,
wall
would I be
is,
able to hide behind it?
oh yes, the wall is probably not but 3.5 feet or so, but would presumably be larger if it weren't crumbled to pieces.
Okay, can I book it up to the wall?
Yes, but not yet.
Okay.
While you're trying to look about, you continue listening into the conversation. You hear a very collected voice. We know they're on their way. We've come to you, seers, because they haven't responded to us. So, tell us again. Or shall I say, tell us first, or else your friend here wouldn't be dead. I'm sorry, I don't know, I've told you everything I know. The voice interrupts again. My queen, followed by a very daunting, somewhat smooth and almost lullabilic voice, kind of resonates. One more chance. I'm feeling generous today. You hear more sounds of the struggle. I don't know. I'm telling you. I know. I've told you everything I know. They're probably on their way as we speak. Seer, I have no time for this. We know they're on their way. Tell us where they're coming from. They're probably around us as we speak. They're probably on their way this very instant. Now you can feel free to move.
Okay, I want to get right up against the wall and kind of peer over it
Okay,
stealthily
you have
ish.
no problem being able to essentially view the rest of this area. In which you see you are pretty much on the outside of a broken tower of some kind. And selectively in the middle, you can see a large well-like structure with some sort of green aura or fluid or something shining a spectrum of light out from it.
Mm-hmm.
Around this structure, you see a few of your little, well, formerly met cultists. You see one of the hybrid guys over here with the
Right?
wings, carrying a large staff with a glowing purple orb on it, similar as before.
Oh, that makes sense now.
You see a hooded figure here, basically holding this poor defenseless little seer by her throat, a eviscerated corpse over here, and a very feathered figure at the back that can only presumably be probably the leader of this little operation.
Oh, what was her name that they said?
If
Ed.
your assumptions are correct, you believe this might be Edisleka.
Yes. All right then.
This hooded figure has this seer basically by the throat, pushing her off of the ground. If they are on their way, you will specify or you will face the consequence. The seer is struggling with all her might to try and pry this figure off of her. They're probably around us right now. They could probably see us. They're probably right here. Well, if they can see us, they will jump out and save you before anything happens.
I'm standing my ground. There's too many people for me alone to take on.
No, the hooded figure, as from your positioning, looks like it cranes its head around as if looking about. Every other figure, no one else is making a noise, all is quiet. The seer goes to say something, but is cut short by a quick snap as this hooded figure just crushes the seer's neck in its hands. The seer's body falls to the ground dead.
Unfortunate, but again, there's too many people for me to take on by myself. And the boss lady wouldn't run for one individual, so.
This hooded figure will kind of shout out, somewhat echoing among the somewhat empty forest around you. I hope you saw that, because that would be on your hands. And I will tell you now, come quietly, and we won't have any more issues. To which one of the little cultists will speak up, how do we know he's gonna come out? We know. We know them. They are always late, but they are always here.
I wait a little bit and see if anyone else besides me shows up.
They seem to be whispering every now and again. You can't quite make out what they're saying. The queen figure at the Sleka will actually kind of wave her a hand over towards the hybrid. The hybrid will actually look back and then glance at the hooded figure. Do you think I should send the hulks after them? Surely they could bring them to us. The hooded figure holds up a hand. Not yet. If they plan to come out, they'll come out. Patience. We've waited this long.
I want to get around this tower basin. Are the walls... Would I be able to hug the walls and walk around it?
You believe you could, but there are some obvious gaps in the walls.
So that wouldn't be a very good idea.
Not unless you would hope that they're all not staring around, like, all focused on the interior.
No, they're probably waiting, so... I bide my time one more time.
The hybrid walks to get impatient again. Come on, we've waited this long. I can't stand it any longer. The hooded figure once again holds up a hand. No, he actually speaks up. We know you're out here, and we know you're going to come out, so stop hiding and just show your face.
I want to nonchalantly pull out my map, stare down at it, and kind of just...
Meander in.
meander in like I don't know what's going on. Like I'm just marking maps.
You feel all of these figures instantly turn towards your direction before you even look up. Do you keep walking or do you just stop?
I keep I I keep walking, staring down at my map, just kind of. I get right about here.
None of these figures have said a word, but unless you have glanced up, you can only assume they're looking at you.
No, I've not glanced up. I kind of look behind me to the wall.
You are being very careful not to make eye contact with any of these things. You are
Yep,
trying to ignore their existence.
yep. I make scratches on my paper, like okay, the wall is here. Just scratch, 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 scratch.
At this point, you actually hear quite an unpleasant shriek as this closest cultist will actually begin to bolt for you, but is cut short as this hooded figure holds out a hand as if to halt it. It halts and looks at it very impatiently, like, what gives?
Well, it shrieks, so now that's that. I give an actual jump and look. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting something?
You can now see face to face this hooded figure, dressed in a very kind of a mix between like a dark crimson and practically a black cloak that's completely covering itself. The only other notable feature you can see, its attire is dark and very obviously messy.
Mm-hmm.
Large boots, large clothing, but nothing really to stand out, kind of somewhat hiding underneath his clothing. But more predominantly, this hooded figure has a large bird-like mask similar to like a plague doctor mask, hiding its face. You're interrupting. That's funny. You interrupt everything. But, honestly, had it been known that you were the person I would be dealing with, I would probably have reconsidered my options. But we do so appreciate you joining us at, albeit a little bit late, as this figure kind of gestures to the dead body next to him.
I just look in shock, like I had no idea what happened.
Oh, wipe that look off your face. We all know you were here. We all know you watched it happen. Go ahead.
I've got no idea what you're talking about. I've just been mapping out this area for the guild.
Well, that may be, but, well, we expected you a little bit earlier. I assume you got our letter?
Letter. No.
Would you actually like to roll a bluff? That is a thing.
7.
Not quite. Needed a 10.
Eh.
Oh, come now. It's been with you for at least, oh, what, a month? You know, parchment, purple ink, purple pen. Need evidence. Invited to a party. You never responded.
Oh, that one.
Oh, yes, that one. It mocks you.
No, I had several other letters that arrived at the same time. I didn't know exactly which one was addressed to whom.
Right. The hooded figure will turn around and whisper something towards Edisleka. To which this front cultist looks very upset that it didn't get to charge you. It's kind of looking very restless in its position.
So I presume this is what?
The tension is going through the roof right now, if there were a roof. The hooded figure turns back around to you again. This is our contingency plan. You see, we do in fact need a few things. And that colorful little trinket on your arm there, that nice little pebble,
Mm-hmm.
that's ours. And we very much like it back.
I just raise my arm, and try and pry it off.
You obviously cannot. Well, not just that. A few more, if you would. We had sent a few drones to go investigate, and unfortunately they didn't do a good job. But I believe you have two more of our precious little stones at your house, if I'm correct. A certain peridot and a, oh, I believe, what was it? Da, 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 da. Something of obsidian, if I'm remembering correctly.
Uh, yes. I believe those are the stones in my collection.
Well, you see, that's three. We only have one. So as standards go, you're actually, oh, how do I put this? Got the upper hand right now. And we really can't have that, as it seems you are very hard to get rid of, Scaithe.
I just raise my hands and bow like that's my nature.
Well, good news is, we've got a contingency plan for that. Well, personally, I want to say this would be personal as well, but no, personally, I just want to see you suffer. Oh, come on, don't give me that look. You've had it coming for quite some time.
Well, what did you have in mind?
I had in mind a little bit of revenge, as I like to say. A little bit of long time coming. And tell you what, I was actually planning on saving this for maybe a little bit better of a scenario, but I figure, why wait? You're not going to be around much longer anyways. This figure reaches up and removes its bird mask, to which you see a dead man. Literally, practically a corpse. If this thing were not looking, standing, and speaking with you, you would presume this figure to be dead. It's just as lifeless as what could a corpse be expected of.
Without trying to be rude, I can see why you wear the mask.
Sharp as always as well, with a clever, quick wit.
I
Come on,
try.
Scaithe, try. You know it to be true. It's good to see you again.
Ah. Give me just a moment to recollect.
As you sit there and try and think, this figure gets a little bit impatient and a little more irritated. This is exactly what I'm talking about. No respect, no recognition, just adding towards your failure. Come on. Come on! This thing points at its face like, you should know this, you should know this.
I want to roll to see if I know this. 9.
9 is still good enough. You now realize that, well, amongst the dead appearance that this thing has, as sickly as it looks, this is now the facial structure, unmistakably, of your pathetic little whimpery adventurer you met in the past known as Akron.
Um, really? What happened to you?
I decided to join with someone I know that I wouldn't have to put up with any more of your nonsense. I found a place where I can be respected and get what I deserve as a person. Far away from people like you. You can also tell that not only does this figure appear sickly, it appears different. You can tell that if this is actually Akron, something's happened to him. Obviously.
But Akron, last I left you, you were in a much better state than this.
He interrupts you. Last you left me, I was going to try and wipe these memories from my mind and stop scarring and the trauma. I am done with you, and I am glad I've got this plan here. As he eagerly reaches inside of his robe and pulls out this little red glowing orb. Moving the wrong figures. Any idea what this is?
I'm going to presume that it's roughly the same type of stone that is on my wrist or in my collection.
No. This is an essence sphere. This has your blood in it. This thing is you. Got it?
Got it.
Now here's the thing. We've had a hard time trying to get rid of you. We've got the upper hand. We can't take that. And we're not firm believers of the fact that history will repeat itself. So we're going to change that. Go ahead. Any last words? Beg for your life. Something. Because you're not going to have it much longer.
Just so I know exactly what you mean. What do you mean, history repeating itself? I'm still not sure what those stones actually are.
We need the 5 stones of lore to resurrect Ixok, and you will not stand in our way. I am done talking to you. I hope I never meet you again. I hope I can rewrite our history so that 1, we're on top, 2, you don't exist anymore.
Check the history books. Until recently, I didn't.
This figure will walk backwards up the few little steps over top of the well. Good. Let's rip out the few pages that are there. As it drops this orb into the well, this orb disappears in this green viscous fluid resonating in the well. A large blinding light appears, practically flashbanging everybody. As your eyes readjust, everything is gone. Every individual that was there has disappeared.
Is there anything left?
The well still stands. The walls are still there. Just all the figures, even the corpses, are gone.
I want to do something dangerous. I want to approach the well.
Okay?
Right here.
Alright. The well itself seems to be kind of glowing a little bit greenish from some sort of odd fluid that seems to be resonating inside of it, but it is not giving off any aura, it is not making any noise.
Can I try and use my ice spell to freeze it solid?
Certainly, if you like.
I would like to.
D20.
8. No.
You kind of form a nice little layer of frost on everything.
Hmm.
Not much.
Not much. Okay. But this isn't the shack thing that I was told about, right?
As far as your mapping skills shows, this is the point of interest. This is whatever was on the map. And from now, your vantage point, you look around, it appears to be a collapsed tower of some kind.
Okay. Well, then, I would like to try and leave.
As you're trying to kind of gather all this, something in your pocket resonates. As it were like a cell phone vibrating. Something
I
in
pull
your
it out.
pocket just lets it be known that it needs to be looked at.
I pull it out.
It is your black little piece of parchment from Sabrak.
Mm-hmm.
It is folded up and has something in it now.
Unfold it.
There is a very particular looking key and a note hastily, very hastily scratched on it. But you can somehow still see it kind of glowing on this black piece of parchment.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Go back home, secret door, like before, the council. Always find the orb. Always. Don't panic." It's hastily written and scrawled on this parchment.
All right. I fold it back up and stow it in my pocket. And sounds like I need to head back home.
Okay? Do you beeline it out straight back for Homestead?
Doing my best to avoid the creatures on the map.
You easily do so. So
All
back
right.
so back to Homestead?
Yes.
Alright, you are back to Homestead, back right around the corner from your headquarters. I don't have a map for it, you'll have to play along.
No problem.
So give me 1 second real quick.
All right.